lot of news in the industry this last couple months. Compass is buying Anywhere. We've got technological advances in AI that are just screaming innovation across brokerages, across agents and team leaders. Is AI going to replace the agent? Well, I have Jack Miller, the CEO of T360, on today's podcast. It's going to be an amazing interview. You're going to want to hear this. We're going to cover a lot of different aspects of the industry, including consolidation, Anywhere, Compass, including AI. You'll want to stick around to the end. We've got some really good nuggets. So stick around for that. Also, you do not want to miss the Realty Hack Summit that we have on January 30th. We're going to be talking about AI. We're going to talk about video. We're going to talk about how all these things intersect to make you more successful for 2026. All right. I'm excited to talk with you. We spent some time the other day. You had that AI summit, which I thought was really good. A couple of things we're going to talk about are trends in technology, AI trends, and trends in brokerage. But before we do that, let's give our audience an idea of what your background is.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. My name's Jack Miller. I'm the president and CEO of T360, which T360 is a research and management consulting firm focused on residential brokerage industry. So we work with broadly brokerages, national franchisors, MLSs, real estate associations at all levels, and also many of the prop tech companies that are in the industry. We have 250 to 300 clients active every year. We've got a team of about 40 people. We have 15 kind of front-facing consultants that do a lot of hands-on work. Most of our people are like me. They came from industry. I've been in the industry since 2001 and have been in national franchise, brokerage. I was a franchise owner and been licensed, sold real estate. So we have a lot of people that are former practitioners. And we have, I think within the company, half a dozen former CEOs and then probably a dozen former C-levels, CTOs, product leaders, that kind of thing. So they're usually people that have done industry jobs, have run brokerages, run associations, run MLSs, run tech companies, run real estate teams, all varieties. So that's who T360 is. And then I've been with the firm since 2013. Our founder, Stefan Swanepoel, who Stefan's probably, he is the most published author about the industry. We have about 67 books about the industry that have been written in the last 25 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lot. He writes a lot. And we publish 2 books a year about the industry. We have a new book coming up in December, our 21st edition of our Trends Report.
Yep.
So that's just a little bit about us. And we do all kinds of projects. We do, companies will come to us when they say, I really need to do a turnaround. I need to reinvent my company. I want to acquire. I want to open up in other states. I'm a big team and I'm growing in other areas. We have tech companies come to us that want to bring new products to market, understand the agent better, understand the brokerage better. So it's people come to us usually when they want to make a big change and when they want to, and a lot of our clients are very growth focused in terms of what they do. And we work at all levels. I mean, we have companies, we have small companies that we do work with, and we have big, the biggest companies in the industry are also clients of ours. So that's a little bit about us and about me. I live here in Austin, so we're neighbors. You're south, I'm north of the river.
Yeah.
But and I've been here my whole life. So
yeah. And so, but T360, I think that how long have y'all been, how long has T360 been around?
So that's a good question. So Stefan started the company in 1998.
Okay.
And it wasn't called T360 at the time. He had a different name. And it was really to do his consulting, publishing, and speaking work under. And he did that up until about 2013.
Uh-huh.
And then in 2013, he and I he decided to host a leadership conference called the T3 Summit. And T3, a lot of people ask, well, what does the T3 stand for? Well, it was really around that summit, and it was trends, technology, and thought. Okay. And it was about bringing industry leaders together to talk about what are the trends in the industry, where are we going, how does technology play a role, and then what are the big thoughts that we have about how to make the industry better. And that was really where the T3 name came from. And then I joined Stefan in 2013 with the premise that we wanted to build a management consulting and research firm that was really worthy of that name in this space. A lot of the consulting companies at that time were really just 1 or 2 person shops. And we said, you know what, we think there can be like a really professional firm that does a lot of different things for customers over a long period of time. And that's what we decided to build then. That's when we renamed the company. The next year, we rebranded it to T360.
Yeah, and I know you did a lot of technology work with the Good Life team and iPad and
Yeah. People usually know me. I've had distinct eras in my career. So I worked for Gary Keller and Mo Anderson from 2001 to 2005. I came out of tech industry, and they brought me on to the Keller Williams team to really run all their software development and product. And I was employee number 29 at the company. I actually started around the same time that Jay Papasan started.
Okay.
And so Jay and we've been friends, industry friends for a long time, and friends from that early experience. But they brought me on to build technology for Keller Williams based on my technology background. So I did that for 5 years and built their franchise technology that hired a team, worked with a whole bunch of other great technologists to really take them from a regional company that had about 100, maybe 110 stores.
Yeah.
From 01 to 05, it went from 100 to 110 stores to about 600 stores. So it grew massively. It was like a real estate industry startup. Yeah, it's a wild time to be there, and they added almost 50,000 agents, I think, while I was there.
Wow.
So that was also when IDX was new. So we did one of the first national IDX implementations with WolfNet, and took it to 300 markets, coast to coast, and then built multiple versions of a national website, built all of their training stuff. So that was my background, was like built a lot of technology for a national franchisor.
Yeah.
And then I had another era, which is I did consulting and work with both product companies and also with real estate brokerages and teams, and like making use of technology in their business. And I did that for about 3 years, mostly with Keller Williams companies and Keller Williams teams. And then I joined the Good Life team here in Austin, with the goal of building like a very tech forward. So that was when you remember, it was 2008, 2009. Social media was pretty new.
Yeah.
Lead generation, like the kind of stuff that teams were doing with lead generation, was very new. And so we built a lot of that ourselves at Good Life team, and kind of pioneered and, made use of the iPad as an operating platform, which at the time was really novel. We all had these beautiful iPads. Nobody knew what to do with them.
Right.
And so we said, okay, what if we treat this as the operating system for business? And I think that was, really when real estate industry started to get like fully digital, fully mobile.
Yeah.
And we were at that time, like Apple came out, and we were a business case study for Apple. They had people in our offices videoing everybody and like talking about how we train, like agents would come, we train them and get them like, here's your iPad, and here's how you do everything, no matter where you are with this connected device. So at the time, it was pretty novel. Today, everybody does it. Yeah, everybody we've all got phones. We don't have iPads. We're all there now. So
were you at Keller Williams? Did you work at the same time with Chris Heller?
We had some overlap. Chris I knew from when he was running his team in California, and that's how Chris and I met. And then I didn't have overlap with him when he was in management, but I met him through that. I also met Glenn Sanford while I was there, when he and I met in 2001, 2002, when he was running a real estate sales team up in Bellingham, and then we obviously stayed in touch, and actually Stefan, my partner, with him wrote EXP's business plan in 2006 or 2007, and helped him do the reverse merger into the publicly traded company.
Oh, wow.
Is EXP today. So there's a lot of connections back to those. A lot of people that know me from the Keller days, there's like a lot of people, they're still in the industry today.
Yeah.
That's what's so great. This industry, like, people come and go, but there's some people that have just been in it for my whole career, and it's been great to watch them flourish and really build incredible things.
Yeah, Chris Heller called me because we had a mutual friend, probably, 5 or 6 years ago, and he really was interviewing me for a place for his daughter. And his daughter still works with us, and we began a friendship, and he's a mentor of mine, and he was on my podcast, and afterwards, I was like, I respect him a lot, And so after the podcast, I was like, you want to like maybe get a happy hour? And it's like, yeah, sure. I was like, do you mind if I bring my P&L? And I did, and he was so gracious with his time. He just like went through it, gave me some valuable advice, and um,
That's something I love about this industry is there are so many people in it that are willing to give their time to help other entrepreneurs grow. And it's really, we're going through a lot of change in the industry right now, which I know we're going to talk about.
yeah,
I would be sad if we lost that part of this industry, the entrepreneurial, the giving nature of helping other entrepreneurs grow and develop, because I think it is the beating heart of real estate. It is why people come into this industry, is that it's one of the few places in U.S. business where you don't have to have some fancy degree in order to really have a great career here. And I've seen that again and again and again in my work.
yeah. And I will tell you, I think one of the biggest catalysts and strengths of my career has been that I have been a conference junkie for 20 years, and the some of the best things that I've gotten out of conferences have been in the lobby bar or the lobby hall, I mean, and getting that sense of collaboration, especially with people that are not in your own market. People tend to be protective, right, in your own market to some extent.
100%.
But like, doing that over and over and over again, I've got people, in almost every major city that I can, call for advice. Because when you are an independent broker, or you're not at a major company, and we recently moved over to Real in January, but and we use them as an operating system in some ways. We're not super ingrained in the management, right?
Yeah.
But like, if you're if you're an independent, there's who do you go to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been great. Let's talk about, okay, what should we talk about? Consolidation or technology?
Let's talk about consolidation first, because I think it's really, it's such a hot topic. And obviously, so our organization, we write this trends report every year. We've got a new version coming out in December, which I encourage everybody here. I think this year's edition, because of all the change, is a must read.
I have it on order.
Yeah, gotta read it because of all the change. And we've done some deeper analysis. There's most people steer their careers by what they read in the headlines, which is one way to do it. We go deeper. We say, well, let's talk about the long term, what the big changes are, and understanding them. And consolidation is one of those. And really, our business, like T360, was predicated on that bigger companies were being created in this industry, because real estate industry, if you look at its history since post-World War II, really came from a local mom and pop broker business. That's what it was. And a lot of times go back to the 1950s, it was connected to new development, to construction development. A lot of great brokerage companies came out of construction that was being done, where we needed to build a lot of housing, and then you needed that workforce to help people get into that housing. That's where a lot of brokerage came from. But our thesis for why we renamed the company T360 and decided to build a bigger company was that companies were going to get bigger, and they were going to have more sophisticated needs, and that they were going to centralize. So today, if you were going to start a real estate company, and you're an ambitious entrepreneur, it is easier than it's ever been to start something that can be a national company or a regional company or multi-state, or you can start a brand in one city and easily get it into other companies, other places, using platforms like a Real or an EXP, or even some of the traditional companies have mechanisms for that now. So it's a different environment. So we've been writing about this consolidation for the last 15 years. It's been a constant theme. And, so people called us, like when the Compass Anywhere transaction was announced, we had some people call us, was this a big surprise to you guys? And our answer was, no, this isn't surprising at all. Like, this is the big companies getting bigger. The first thing I would say, I know your audience is a lot of agents. I would say, don't let the consolidation stuff mess with your business right now.
Right.
It's not, there's no, and as a matter of fact, the most secure job in the industry, and I'll say this when we talk about AI and technology as well, the most secure job in this industry is the real estate agent, because you are the person delivering the value to the consumer, like ultimately, like they are hiring you to, with the help of your brokerage and whatever supported team you have, but they're hiring principally you to help them do a hard thing, which is to buy or sell real estate, right? That it is still a hard, difficult process. And as much as we've thrown, 25 years worth of and billions of dollars of tech at it, it's still a hard process. So don't worry about the consolidation meaning like, oh, does that mean, like a bunch of agents are going to get fired or not have work? No, that's all market. That's all mindset. That's in another domain. But as these consolidations happen, we're going to see, a lot of middle management. There's a lot of duplicative functions between these companies. I mean, Compass in their statements about the merger said, oh, there's $225 million in synergistic expenses that we can eliminate. Well, that translates to a lot of the pieces that both companies have that are not going to be needed. A lot of that's headcount, a lot of that's tech, a lot of it's other pieces as well. But so these consolidation changes have been coming. They're not surprising. I think what is meaningful now is that with Compass and Anywhere going through their consolidation, it's sort of like in the airline industry, we've just seen the birth of like American Airlines, which, all those airline companies were built via massive consolidations. And what it means is there's probably going to be more, because if you're in American Airlines, you've got massive market share. And so these other airlines are like, hey, we have to get market share too so we can compete. Well, that's the same thing in real estate. That's going to apply. So we are likely to see in the next 24 months, some additional pretty significant consolidations, because if you've created an American Airlines, you need a Delta, you need a United, you need a Southwest. You're gonna build these other big companies in our space, and that's what it's going to mean. What does it mean to the agent? Sit tight.
Yeah.
Stay focused, stay frothy, keep focused on your business, and just know that these consolidated entities are going to have, they're probably going to have much better technology for you. They have buying power. I mean, that's the thing. People go, well, what does this consolidation get? Well, it gets massive buying power. And especially in an era where people are spending a lot of money on artificial intelligence and technology, like that's one area it's going to show up, is that piece. And it's going to show up in other ways too. But
so I have several thoughts about what you said. Okay. So when it comes to the consolidation, I think, well, first, the surprise, I think, was that it was Compass buying Anywhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see that coming. That was like so surprising.
Yeah.
And I remember like 3 or 4 years ago when, Compass had massive debt, and and a lot of people were like, oh, they're in trouble. But I mean, one thing I've learned after watching all these stuff, with Compass is Robert Redfin is a very smart guy.
Yeah, well, and understands public markets and understands capital and understands, the consolidation. A lot of it right now, it's being done by people that have very deep skill sets outside of our industry, and finance and understanding how to build big companies, and it brings that to the table. And his investors like the thesis of bigger is better.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Compass does is and I think our MLSs have done a really good job of providing solutions for agents for this, but like, being able to market to their clients first. So in that way, they think bigger is better, right? And and to me, that's a recruitment play.
Absolutely.
I mean, no doubt about it. But what the consumer needs to know is that, like, our MLS has given us a solution for that. Okay. And CCP, I probably don't really want to get into it for a variety of reasons.
We'd be here for another hour.
Yeah. The other thing is, we've seen a big loss in the mom and pop independent brokerages, and for good reason. I mean, what I mean by that, I could see, what was a part of the reason we joined Real, even though we're private label.
Right.
We wanted our identity, or like the reason we did private label is in Austin, maybe not anywhere else, but in Austin, my brand, Spyglass Realty's
Yep.
brand,
Meaningful.
is bigger than Reels. So I think when it comes to, I think one thing I worry about with that consolidation is, are they too big, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that. We did it in the trends report that's about to come out in December. We did an analysis because part of the thesis of these consolidations is being able to deliver services at scale to agents.
Yeah.
And we've seen some of that. Obviously, the Real Brokerage is a part of that. EXP is a part of that. I think to some extent, Compass has been a part of that, where they say, look, we're going to build a big company and we're going to design for delivering high quality technology and agent services and support at scale. And if they're able to do that, they can actually drive down the cost of the transaction from the brokerage perspective, from the brokerage expense perspective. And we did a study in the trends report that verifies that. It says like, okay, these companies, as they have gotten bigger and as they've been able to really design to be more efficient, they are able to drive down the cost of the transaction. That's actually happening. And you can see it if you go study EXP's financials or Real Brokerage's financials, you can see it year over year. Well, it's like, oh, okay, it's costing them less and less for them to run a transaction through the shop. And what does that mean to the agent? It means to the agent that if your broker is really efficient, you want your broker to be really efficient.
Yeah.
Like you really do. If your broker is more efficient, what that means is that they have then excess dollars, which they can either give back to you as the agent, or they can use it to develop high value marketing or services or other things that help you compete and win in the marketplace. Like, and those are, or some blend of that. And you're seeing that. And Compass takes a lot of their dollars and gives it in form of marketing. They're like, we're going to spend it on marketing. And, that's why Compass is, their arrangements are more traditional in nature. But you look at like a Real Brokerage or an EXP, they're giving more of those dollars back to the agent for the agent to spend on their own marketing, like in your private label situation where it's like, hey, I want to spend this on my brand.
Yeah.
So that's what we're seeing out of that consolidation. So I don't know that, I don't know how to answer that question. If you look outside, is the consolidation too big? If you look outside of our industry, we're still just getting started with the consolidation.
Yeah.
I mean, I ask people, tell me about, think of 3 pharmacies, right? Think of 3 pharmacies. Right. And usually people arrive at CVS. Well, they arrive at CVS, Walgreens, maybe, their grocery store has a pharmacy like HEB, Walmart has a pharmacy. So you usually arrive at that. That's a consolidated industry.
Yeah, you're
right. That's heavily consolidated.
Yeah.
There's 100,000 brokerages. There's very low barriers to entry. I think there's always going to be the creative entrepreneurs that are going to start brokerages.
Yeah, especially when I have a feeling that this litigious environment is at some point not going to be as litigious. Okay.
Yep.
And I also think that there's opportunities for smaller operators like myself. Like when this happens when this finally goes through, Compass is not the be all for every single type of person. Right. And so I think there's major opportunity there where I am, and this might lead into more like the technology thing is, so having, using Real as a brokerage, using their infrastructure, all that. One thing we have adopted very little of their technology, very, very little, because we have all our own technology.
Yeah, you already had it from your legacy time as an independent.
Yeah, and in fact, we're adding technology. I mean, I shared with you the other day, we're doing, a lot. I now have 2 AI engineers that are working for me on various aspects. Yep. And what I think is, they have the power to buy companies, right? But AI and technology is evolving so fast and becomes so easier to make. Like, I'm not a coder. I mean, I'm pretty good with technology, but like before I even hired my first AI engineer, I played with it a lot.
Sure.
And so I think that kind of is making more of a level playing field for people that don't have multi-year budgets.
It can, and don't get me wrong. I still think there's plenty of opportunity for every shape and size of entrepreneur in this space. I do think that the national consolidated companies present a new opportunity. And the thing I tell people, and this is, again, Stefan has written about this industry. We've written about the last 50 years. This is not an industry where a company comes along and wipes out everybody that's there.
Yeah.
Like, this is not that kind of industry. If you look at, when Century 21 became a national franchise movement in the 70s, it did not eliminate the independent brokers. It just created it's like, okay, and everybody was like, oh, well, we're going to have to all be franchises. No, that was not true. And it was just another option.
Yeah.
And then, when Remax came in their model, it was, oh, we're all going to end up being Remax. Remax has got a better model, whatever. That did not happen. Now we have, and Remax added as another option on the shelf. In the 90s, with all the consolidation that happened then, that eventually created what is now Anywhere, where you have a multi-brand company and lots of different, and we've done some in-depth studying of their brands. It's really interesting. They've got a lot of price segmentation and demographic segmentation. That didn't eliminate everybody else.
Yeah.
Keller Williams didn't eliminate everybody else. EXP didn't eliminate everybody else. What's actually happened is we've now got more variety on the shelf for the agent to choose from about, well, what kind of support do I want from my broker? Do I want my broker to supply a lot of brand for me? Do I want them to supply technology for me? Do I want them to supply leads for me, like a Redfin model or even like a Jason Mitchell group? Do I want a place where, it provides me minimal services and a liability platform and I build everything? So you have more and better choices today as an agent than you've ever had in any time in the modern real estate industry.
Isn't it interesting that of the top, let's call it 10 brokerages, how many were non-existent this century?
Correct. Yeah, correct. That's what, so our trends work is really interesting, is that we've seen, when I started in the industry, you could count the publicly traded companies on half of one hand, and the top 10 companies were all what we would refer to as traditional legacy companies.
Yeah.
And what's happened over the last 20 years is that more than half of the top 20 are new brands. They're new companies that didn't exist in the year 2000. And most of them were built in, you saw EXP in 2007, you saw Redfin in 2012. You see all these new brands got spun up, and now from a sales volume perspective, they've become very big, and they've entered that, you look at that top 10, and then you have that top 20. It's a very different list today, and that just reflects the evolution of the industry.
Yeah, it really does. And I think this is, this AI technology revolution, or this is one of the defining moments in history, kind of like the railroad, the whatever. Yeah,
100%.
And it's anybody's game, right? And what I mean by that is, if you've ever read the book Outliers,
yes,
and I love that part about all the tech founders were all in Silicon Valley. They were all born between 1950 and 1960, and this is why it's so exciting and interesting to me to kind of learn it, not because I think I'm going to do that, but I do want, like your Steve Brown, the guy that you guys had present, says AI won't replace your job,
yes,
but someone that uses AI will, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
What do you see in technology trends that real estate agents, brokers, team leaders should be aware of?
This is a unbelievably cool time that we're getting to live through. And cool times are also sometimes scary times, right? Where there's a lot of change happening because we're at an incredibly difficult market cycle for real estate. Financing is hard. We're shifting to a buyer's market in a lot of places, so that's challenging. A lot of people that have been in real estate industry, some people listening to this podcast, they don't know anything. They've never experienced a buyer's market before, right? So we're having to learn how to cope with that. And then we have the most kind of fundamental, earth-shaking technology change that probably anybody's going to see in their lifetime, which is artificial intelligence show up on the scene.
Yeah.
And to me, the closest analogy I can give to it is, like, we've seen major shifts in this industry before. When the internet became available to this industry, Huge change. People that grabbed onto that early and really adopted it built legacy businesses that are incredible, like sales teams, companies that made so much money. I mean, just there's many sales teams that were built on like, oh, they understood SEO a little bit sooner than everybody else.
Right.
They understood pay-per-click a little bit sooner than everybody else. They built and understood lead management better than anybody else. They just got there quicker, and they built incredible value out of that. And this is that kind of change where I think that the individual agents and companies, especially that embrace that change, will be able to, rapidly outpace those that don't, because it's like, this is, essentially, as a sidebar, I got in a debate with somebody about like industry data, and they're like, well, we shouldn't let ChatGPT have listing data, da 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 da. And I was like, you realize that is like saying we shouldn't let Google index our website in 1997.
Yeah.
Right? That's the equivalent. Like, the consumer is going to go to chat and they're going to ask real estate questions. This is a land grab, people. You need to grab some land. And this is where it's like everybody and those that went through the SEO revolution and all of that and understand, the domain name stuff, and we did all that, like, get it. They're like, oh, this is that kind of, like, it's a land grab, but not in Google search. It's a land grab in chat and in all of these other tools. And it's like, yes, absolutely. Well, you know what the game is, so go grab some land. Like, go get in action. And that's why I'm so passionate about people engaging with artificial intelligence in their down to your agent business. You could build enterprise value as a singular agent just with doing some good content that's designed to be read and scanned by chat. And we've seen it at our company.
Yeah, we have too.
We've seen it. We've done 4 5-figure consulting contracts that all came through chat in the last 90 days.
Yeah.
And then people went to chat and they said, hey, who are some really great, real estate industry consultants that can help me do whatever, right? And it's found our research. It's found Real Estate News, which we run realestatenews.com. It's found our other materials online. And it said, hey, T360, one of the leading management consultancies in residential real estate brokerage, go check them out. And then we've got those people and they've come right through the front door. And that's the same opportunity every agent has in the neighborhoods you do business, in the areas that you specialize in. And like, it's again, content as fundamental, but making sure that everything you build is really friendly with AI technology.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was having a little bit of a debate with my buddy Jonathan about what the city of Austin is doing to market Austin as a tech center. Jonathan, but right, and so he sent me he put it in the Grok and it spit out like these things, and the only website in there was movetoaustin.org, which is my site. I was like, oh, that's my site. That's cool, But when it comes to the importance of it, I'm just like geeked out. I mean, I spend so much time on it, right? And I think that I'll build a tool like I did, like a CMA bot, and I put it in my leadership team, and at the leadership, they just don't understand why I'm so excited about it. And I think it's just this is what I'm building right now is not earth shattering, right? But it's stuff that adds up.
Yep.
And by the way, the CMA bot, it's not built. Getting a market analysis is more of an art than it is a science. So, this is a tool for an agent when they go to, when they find a property that, they show 10 properties, I'm going to write an offer on that, right? This is a tool that they can in 1 second just, put it out there and it gives a cursory view of the value.
Yep.
Like, it's not replacing the agent, but like, here's what our initial AI says about it. I will dig into this. Yep. Right. Yep. You're not going to say that this is what it's worth.
Yeah.
So
it really is like in Steve C. Brown, who is we brought in, and he's an AI futurist and has done work for, Google and Intel in AI fields. So he was we brought him in specifically to address this. Just in that room, he talked about, look, you're going to go through 3 stages with AI. You're going to replace kind of boring work that is just labor intensive and that you shouldn't do. And so everybody here should absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Like find if there's boring things, it's going to extend your capabilities into like, oh, okay, I need to do something faster. I need a first draft of something really quick. Everybody here should be doing that. And then the last part is it will actually fundamentally enhance or change the way that we do business. And where now we're able to do things that we weren't able to do at all before.
Yeah.
So it's not just extending something like everybody listening here has created a CMA, and your ability to like do it really quickly or do it in a market you're not as familiar with. The AI can help you do that. When we look at enhance, it's like, okay, well, you can reimagine your business and think about what jobs and the way he encouraged everybody to think about it, the way I'm thinking about it now is like, what jobs can I hire AI to do in my business? And making those discrete and say, look, and I would say everybody listening, you should be firing up one new AI thing a week.
Absolutely.
Like fire up something new. I just launched something today. I took all of our research. I put it in a notebook LLM. I made it searchable. I did some tests on that.
Yeah, from our discussion.
Yeah, from our discussion. I'm there. I just shared it with our whole consulting team, and now I'm going to we have a huge archive of like industry research that I'm going to do the same thing with.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, and it's more knowledgeable. You can just plug into that. So there's things like that everybody here, you have materials, you have, everything in your business should be living inside of the AI engine so you can start to build on top of it to get you faster, better, higher quality, all of those things.
Yeah, so we're doing we're not doing the notebook because I didn't have a chance to check it out because we were already kind of in the yeah, we're building I don't know what you call it, a vault, a repository of our agent handbook, the sites that we want it to pull from, which is,
that's right,
Trek, ABOR, Unlock. And then the next part of that is we have over 100 hours of training for agents.
Brilliant.
And so and we have that on Vimeo. I want the agent to be able to ask a question.
Yep.
And then it say, here's the answer from this segment of this video, and here's the link to that video.
Yeah, anybody providing training materials or coaching. When this came out, I remember when AI started, the generative AI came out 3 years ago. I remember I called Tom Ferry. He's a friend, and I asked him. I said, Tom, how many hours of coaching do you have recorded? And he's like, I don't know. It was a big number.
Yeah,
it's probably 100,000 hours.
Yeah,
and I was like, the value of that, if you can get this into an AI environment, is you now have the power of hundreds of thousands of hours of coaching in like that you can ask the AI, and it's like a super coach.
Yeah,
it's like even if you just turn and most there's some broker owners probably listening to this. There's some agents that run teams probably listening to this. Anything that you've recorded is immediate mineable value, and you can just take it, and it's competitive advantage. Like it's something that's unique to you. I mean, we had when we were running Good Life Team, we built a lot of content and had a lot of material that was like specific to Austin neighborhoods where we had done a lot of business. And it's super competitive intelligence. We just didn't have the AI technology to harness it, to be able to say, hey, tell me everything about this neighborhood, or I'm about to have a meeting with this buyer and they want to know about, what are the gotchas in this area they need to look out for. And guess what? That's all in agents' heads until it's recorded. And once you get it recorded and into some kind of LLM tool, now you've got leverage. Now you've got like that's enterprise value you just created, which by the way is going to be unique to your business and unique to your company's experience or your personal experience.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and I think agents really need, like you said, have one project. Oh, I mean, look, like you and I are probably using it all day, every day. I mean, I don't even need these questions, by the way. Yeah. But putting a inspection report into the in ChatGPT and prioritizing getting bids on, like cursory bids of what it costs.
Right.
There's just so much, right? And like the other projects that I'm working on are the extremely boring ones.
Right. Those are actually the ones that end up being hard because it's all like data intensive and
putting a contract into. You can pull a contract, and I'll tell you what fields they are, okay? And then you can have it go like make a CVS.
Yeah.
But putting that in on an existing spreadsheet is for some crazy reason.
That's really hard.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
But we're getting there. So Well, any future predictions about who's buying who and AI and
well, yeah. So if you forward-looking statements, I don't we're not a publicly traded company. I'm allowed to say whatever we want.
Yeah.
We're a research company. The back to our consolidation conversation, then I'm going to talk a little bit about about AI and technology in general. So as far as what we see coming, our thesis of like, hey, this massive transaction, the Compass Anywhere transaction, will lead to others. And the other players that are, again, this is, if you're studying the industry, this is apparent. Like Stone Point bought Keller Williams. Stone Point also owns, Cotality, formerly CoreLogic. They also own Lone Wolf. So they own some industry assets in software and data and now in brokerage. And Stone Point is an acquirer. They own, if you look at all their acquisitions, they own a ton of other stuff, not in residential real estate, but in commercial real estate and property management and leasing, things like that. So they have a really interesting portfolio. So we wouldn't be surprised to see them buy some additional companies in the space. And there's some large companies that are obvious. It's like, Remax, Douglas Elliman, these are already publicly traded companies that you can do on the back of a napkin what it would cost to buy them.
Yeah.
So those are obvious. EXP they've been the market leader in the kind of cloud brokerage space. Real Brokerage is solidly their competitor. It wouldn't surprise me if those companies either start to acquire others or maybe figure out some way to merge or do something together. So there's some ones where you go and you're like, I feel like something's there. And then let's not rule out Rocket. I mean, Rocket bought Redfin.
Yeah.
Redfin really followed their vertical integration thesis of, hey, we go direct to consumer in mortgage. They have an entire portfolio, and now they have a direct to consumer in brokerage. That's
the funnel,
top of the funnel. So they now have a really full, and now they own the largest mortgage servicer, which is Mr. Cooper. So they have like a fulsome real estate ecosystem where they're servicing the mortgage, they're doing purchase mortgage. Yeah. They now have the top of the funnel with, redfin.com and a whole way to service those clients. And so there may be other acquisitions that make sense for them to fold in that fit that vertical integration thesis. And then there, and by the way, that thesis of like, hey, we want to service the consumer holistically is will probably drive other transactive activities where you go, okay, there's, like if we should not be surprised when we see other combos of banks, finance, title companies and brokerage companies coming together.
They're all doing it. I mean, Zillow's doing it.
Absolutely.
We're actually doing it.
Right.
And I don't mean Real Brokers, but Spyglass Realty.
Yeah.
Just because it's you have one stop shop and it's a whole ecosystem of services that's convenient for the client.
And it's synergistic. Synergistic. It's like all these services go together. They're used by, if you're going to talk to the consumer, you might as well be able to provide them a full range of services. And it also helps you develop your business in other areas that you might not develop, otherwise. So that's going to continue to happen. And I think we are going to end up with 2 or 3 other very large companies that'll come out of that. And I don't know, again, I don't have a crystal ball, but they're just go through, if you look at the list of the top 20 companies, it wouldn't be surprising to see 2 or 3 of those decide to merge in the next couple of years.
Yeah, because when a move like Compass Anywhere happens, that's when the executives at these other companies are like,
they're all in the war room.
Yeah.
They're all in the war room saying, hey, that happened over there. They're going to have X amount of market share nationally.
Yeah.
We need to have our own competitive strategy there. And so I think that's going to drive those conversations further. And then, on the AI front is that, we're going to see whole new companies get built and scale very rapidly based on putting AI and data at the core. We're still in an industry where we have a lot of industry that was built kind of like one piece at a time as the technology was being invented, and so it's less efficient. And then EXP said, hey, we're going to centralize based on the technology they had today. Real Brokerage did the same thing, and then we see companies like Epic Realty, they're coming along and saying, hey, we're going to start with a AI first thesis, right? So I think we're going to see some talented entrepreneurs bootstrap it, raise some capital, and build some things in that space. And I think there's opportunities to be part of that. You can do it yourself in your own business. And then you find partners that are doing it in their business, and you team up and you build a bigger thing, and that's how it happens.
Well, right. And I've got an AI engineer that works for me, and I've got an AI contractor.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be one size fits all. And what I'm finding is the reason I'm doing this is because the things I want to build aren't built yet.
That's right.
This is the very forefront of that.
This is playtime. This is when
Yeah.
everybody needs to be experimenting and doing new things. And I think that we're going to see, just like we saw during the Teams era, where people were like, oh, I'm going to start blogging. I'm going to start doing some SEO work. I'm going to, pay for some PPC. I'm going to do things like that. There are people that experimented in that area. They spent a bunch of money and time figuring it out. And then 5 years later, they're like, oh my gosh, they're one of the biggest teams in the country, right? And we're going to see the same thing with AI. We're going to see some people that conquer their own real estate business dream using AI as a core technology.
Yeah, I was a little bit late to the SEO game, and that's why I think this is super exciting.
Yeah.
I don't have any plans of, I don't know. I just think it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what better? The best way to be engaged in a business is to be learning.
Yeah.
And so we're in a time where that will be rewarded. That's not just like eating your vegetables. It's like, oh, I'm going to build something, and it can have an impact on your business in the next 6 months. It could be fast.
I've got 2 more questions for you.
Shoot.
Okay. Rich Barton, Robert Redfkin, who do you think would win in an arm wrestling contest?
So I've been in the room with both of them. They're both pretty lean. Those stuff, but they're both pretty lean.
I've got them both too.
So it's hard to say. I feel like Robert's got a little bit of an edge. Mostly he's a little younger. So I think he's got
just in good shape.
No, Rich, listen, these are both. That's the other thing I admire about a lot of the executives in the industry, man. They your body is so important.
Yeah.
I turned 50 last year, and it's like I'm doing double my training hours that I was doing 5 years ago. I'm swimming 3 hours a week, and it's like that focus on the body really pays off.
Yeah.
In a different way, and more like you better use it so you don't lose it. But yeah, I don't know. But I think age, like I have a son he'll be 18 in February, and he doesn't work out near as hard as I do, but boy, I'd be real challenged with him because he is strong and it's about youthful. All that youthful stuff that you got advantage of being 20 years old. It's like, don't mess with that. So I'd have to give the edge to Robert in that one because of that. Not because Rich isn't doing a good job and working that real hard, but that's a funny question.
And the last question is, I think this is one of my more fascinating interviews. Ours usually go like 30 minutes. We're almost in an hour right now.
Yeah. This is fun.
It was great. But if people want to know more about what you guys publish, everything, where should they go?
So there's 3 places I'll send you guys. One of them is we do have a media company. It's at realestatenews.com. It's a daily news brief, which you can just sign up and get for free. We have about 500,000 people that have it through their MLS, where their MLS provides it as
and I think
free subscription.
Austin Border Realtors does.
Austin Border Realtors does. Remax affiliates have it. Exit affiliates have it. Sierra MLS, which is a huge MLS in California, the number 1 or number 2 MLS in the country, has it. And there's probably, I think we have 25 MLS affiliates. So check with your MLS. You may get it as a member benefit. If you don't, it's inexpensive. It's like $170 a year. And that's a great way to stay ahead. That is a neutral, objective news resource. We send 1 email a day. We're not going to blast you.
Yeah.
That's not the purpose of it. And it's really to inform real estate professionals who are in the market about what's going on in the latest news. And it's written with that same kind of journalistic editorial integrity that we do our research. And so that's realestatenews.com. Our trends research is at t3trends.com. The date we're recording this, our book's still on pre-order. This in the 21st edition. Again, essential. If you're leading anything in real estate, if you're leading yourself and you're building something, you need to get this year's edition. It's special. It's this year, every year it's a good publication. It's something that's required reading if you're in leadership. But for this year, above and beyond, because of all the change, we've really got some great content. And then our services, if you want to contact us around consulting or looking at your business, we're at t360.com. That's just the letter T and 360.com. Go check us out there. We'll do, for our broker and team clients, we do a 360 business review. We look at their entire business. We give you a roadmap and a scorecard of where in your business to do work to improve better. And then we do all kinds of projects for our clients, but you can find out at T360.
Which I plan on doing that. I talked with Jonathan Patterson.
Peterson. He's on our enterprise growth team.
Yeah,
and
I plan on doing that early next year.
Yeah, we do confidential calls with clients, 5 days a week, and we'll schedule a half hour and understand your business better, and then help map a plan for you to grow. We typically are a stop, like once people have done everything, like I've got all this coaching stuff down, now I need consulting. I need to like understand how to build a bigger business, or how am I want to acquire another team, or I want to build something. Then we're good partners for that. So,
well, thanks for being on our podcast, and love your content. Love every time I've gone to an event. It's been great. So
yeah, well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate getting to speak to your audience, and I hope we get to know some of them.
Absolutely.